Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of the New Season Podcast where every day is a good day. So today we are talking about toxic relationships. Toxic relationships can be with a romantic partner, with your spouse, with your kids, parents, siblings, even with yourself. Yeah, you heard right. You can have a toxic relationship with yourself. But today I am going to focus more on my toxic relationships with romantic partners and my identity, and the reasons why I stayed because of my identity, what I was thinking about, where I was at, and what led me to make these decisions. All right. So not only that, we're going to talk about not only that, but we're going to also talk about just some things that society pushes and how these things are actually toxic to us. So, with no further ado, let's get started. All right, I'm excited. It's about to get juicy. All right, this topic, this episode, this situation, this conversation is about to get juicy because I remember last time we met, we talked about how our parents, mommy and daddy issues have created barriers in our relationship with God in various ways, in various situations. It just depends on how you saw things and how they worked out for you. But what I realized is that my issues not only created a barrier between me and God, it also created a barrier between me and myself. Because I did not really know who Brianna was. At least, I'll say this. An identity is just the meaning of identity, and this is Bree's definition of identity, is what you believe about yourself. It has nothing to do with other people. It's all about what you believe about yourself. Now, when you are a kid, it is your parents' responsibility to create the foundation of your identity. That's one part of it. The other part of it is naturally as a kid, and kids, I mean like from toddler to adolescent to teenager to you out the house. Okay? During those years, you have created stories, you created perceptions, you saw things. Well, you didn't create the perception. You just had a perception from where you were, how you saw things, how you understood things. So it is your parents' responsibility to create an identity for you, to show you and teach you who you are. But it's also a part that just naturally happens on your end as well. And if those stories and if those things you told yourself are not checked early enough, they grow as you get older. And they compile with new things and new ideas to confirm what you once believed. Now you are an adult, and now it is now your responsibility to go back and heal that little kid. Because a lot of people, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and so forth and so on, are actually stuck at 8 and stuck at 16 and stuck at 15 and so forth and so on, right? I definitely counted backwards, but you get my point. So people are actually stuck at a younger age, because they have yet to go back to identify the issues, identify what happened, identify the hurts and pains and the hang-ups and so forth and so on, and they have yet to heal that hurt. So that's why they're still stuck at that age. Get it? Got it? Good. Okay. Now, because of this is why they're stuck at that age, and now at 50, they're 50 years old, but they still act like they're 20. you're 30, but when certain situations come about, you flip from 30 to 10. Okay? So you're like, I'm grown. Girl, I'm grown. I'm a grown woman. Physically, yeah. But mentally, are you? Are you? Now, where I'm going with this. A lot of our issues they stem from our childhood. No matter if you had a great parent, you had a great set of parents, or if you had poor parents. It doesn't matter. It still stems from beliefs and perceptions that you got as a kid. Don't forget, your identity is what you believe about yourself. So when I left home, I thought as a kid, I taught myself that because my dad was not in the household and because I saw certain things, that I had to step up and take care of my mom and my brother at 8. Now, this duplicated as I got older because in all my friend groups, I was considered the mama in every group. Because some reason, somehow, some way, because of what I thought when I was 8, I instantly became the protector. This happens even to this day. I'm working on it. Turn into the protector real quick. All right? And I guess it kind of like helped out too because I went to the military. So, of course, I'm protecting the whole world now, okay? But as a kid, because certain things happened, I taught myself and I thought, well, I need to protect. I need to take care of people. I need to make sure that they're good, right? That's what I thought as a kid. And it developed into more things. I was also, or my identity when I left home was also, I could not trust anyone on certain degrees. Like, trust was a real tough thing for me. Why? Now, okay, I got something to say about this one. The trust, that led into I had to be strong. I had to be a strong woman because no one, when I talk, like, when you put some imperfect grammar in it, when you like, nobody out here helping me, that just comes out, it gives more passion versus saying, no one is going to help me. Compared to, ain't nobody out here helping me. You see the difference? Okay. Back to the point. Being strong and not trusting people and things of that nature, that came from what I saw as a kid. I saw my mom being a single mom, working her butt off, taking care of me and my brother, and not really having any help to do so. This is what I saw as a kid. My dad wasn't there, so get the point. So I thought that if I needed something to get done, that I had to do it by myself. And I couldn't trust somebody else to do it for me. Because it ain't gonna get done unless I do it. And I gotta be strong. Because if anyone see my weakness, they're gonna get me. Like, I gotta get you before you get me. So now take that and put that in the Navy, which is already predominantly more men than women. Come on, vets. Come on, lady vets. You know what I'm saying. Already, what I thought as a kid is now blown up as a young lady in the United States Navy. And all branches too, but I was in the Navy. So, growing up, my mom never sat down and told me verbatim out of her mouth, you can't trust anybody, or you don't need no man, or you gotta do things by yourself. She never said those things to me. Never did. But as I'm looking, as I see things, this is what I am teaching myself. This is the story I tell myself. Well, based on this is what I see. On both sides, my mom and my dad's side of the family, I'm looking at all the women And I'm seeing that everybody's working their butt off. Now, I see these podcasts. I'm about to get you. I see these podcasts with these men talking all this yin yang about us women, especially these black men. I love y'all. I do. Okay? I love everybody. But my black men, you got a special place in my heart. Okay? For me and my house, we will be black. Blackly black, 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 black. Okay. I love everybody. But my black men, you got my heart. Okay. Enough said about that one. But I got an alt against some of y'all. Some of y'all in these podcasts put us black women down so badly. Because y'all have an issue with us being independent and having something to say. But then you fail to realize who you were raised by. Who raised you? Because most of y'all came from a single parent household, a single mother household. Your mama was holding it down. Guess what your mama did? She had a lot to say. And she was independent. But now you look at us, women who are doing the same thing, and we lack, or we ain't good, or we, whatever you want to put in the blanks, okay? How? I have an idea. I do have an idea. But you grew up from a woman who was independent and had a lot to say because she had nobody else to talk for her. We, independent women now, came from the same household. From an independent black woman who didn't have anyone else to take up for her. So guess what they taught me to do? Be that. But I see, and this is my idea, because from a woman's perspective, I think because you were the little boy in that household, your mama spoiled you to the point where now you think that your wife is supposed to spoil you too. And not be the woman of the independent woman and the woman who had something to say. You don't see that in your mama. You see your mama as one who spoiled you, not the independent woman. See my point? And now when you're looking for a wife, you want the wife to spoil you the way your mama spoiled you, but that's not us. We are the independent woman that your mama... Hope that makes sense. That's my my thinking. That's what I think. This is where I think we're at right now. Okay? And then y'all think, ask a black woman this question. Do you want to be that independent? We don't. We really don't. But we don't have a choice. Because I own my own house. I own my own car. I pay my bills. I put the groceries in my refrigerator. I gotta go grocery shopping soon, but I make my own food, okay? I take care of myself. Who else is going to do it? And now, nice young man want to step in my life and think I'm just supposed to switch it off because he's here now? That's not how that... No. That's not how this works. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Wait, I'm going to say one more thing, then I'm going to get off my soapbox. If I've been doing this now, and I'm 34 years old, why do you think that you're just supposed to just come in, say some sweet nothings, give me a couple of dates, buy me some food, and think that I'm just supposed to instantly say, you're the leader of my life? No. you have not deserved. Ain't nobody ring on this finger. That's another thing too, ladies. I am guilty of this. I am guilty of this. This is a part of my toxic relationships that I'm going to get to. But we give people titles way before they even got the title. And then I'm hurt because I gave him a title before he even deserved the title to begin with. That's a different story for another day. Maybe later on the podcast. But y'all get my point. Stop doing that. But I realized the only reason why I did that is because of my identity at that time. We don't get to it though. We don't get to that. What else? What else I noticed? When I left home, I also noticed that when it came to men, I lacked confidence. Either I hated you or I loved you. I was on a spectrum, okay? The spectrum was I hated men and I could not live without men. And there was no step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It wasn't that. I did this. I went back and forth. Like this, right? I'm going to get into it. But that's why. Why was that? Remember, I came from a single mother household. My dad was not in my life at that time, okay? So I am out here figuring out the dynamics of the opposite sex. Okay? That makes sense. So this is leading me into toxic relationships. Actually, this is attracting toxicity to me. I know I had a conversation with someone and they were like, every time I turn around, this man do this. These men, well, she was describing the men that kept trying to be with her, that kept talking to her. And I'm like, it's because you're attracting them. This is what I was attracting. I was attracted men who were brokenhearted, that had daddy issues, men who had no sense of their self, no sense of self, no identity, no good identity, rather. I was attracting men who needed someone to tell them that they were handsome, that they were worthy, that they were important, and that they were lovable. I was attracting men who had issues with rejection, who couldn't be alone, who needed someone to fill a void in their heart, men who did not know God, men who did not love themselves and did not know how to love themselves. So why was I attracting those men? Everything I listed is a reflection of what I was going through. All those issues were my issues. So now, because I'm brokenhearted, I'm attracting someone else who's brokenhearted. Because I have these daddy issues and I'm living in an identity of daddy issues, I'm going to attract somebody who has those issues too. Because I had no sense of self, I had no true north when it came to my identity, neither did they. Neither did they, okay? Because I had an issue with rejection, voila, I have a guy who has an issue with rejection too. So now we're similar. We are alike. So now the man that I'm attracting is the person that I am. When the lights came on, Jesus. When I finally realized this, I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, let's keep going. The reason why I kept attracting these men is because of my own identity. Right? I just said that. What is identity? Identity is what I believe about myself. So now here I am dating different men, and I noticed that I'm on the different parts of the spectrum, right? And so I remember on one part of the spectrum, I couldn't do without men. And I I was tainted too. So the friends I had this time also told me these things. They told me, Bree, the idea that you have for a man doesn't exist. The idea that I was giving them was a black Prince Charming. Like I said, I like black men. Okay, that's my kids be black. Okay. So I'm like, my man is gonna be like a Prince Charming, okay? You know, respectful, open doors, maybe pull out my chair. You know, he's just a gentleman, you know? And they were like, that doesn't exist. Heart hurt. What do you mean it doesn't exist? That doesn't exist. Your list does not exist. I heard that from men and I heard that from women. But I heard that from men. And I'm like, wait a minute, so that means you're a dog? You're calling yourself. He was like, look, what you're asking for just doesn't exist. He's calling himself a dog. Okay. So they were like, look, you're young. Go have fun. Your body is your body. Do your thing. Have a good time. Stop worried about all this stuff. Just be. How many times have y'all heard my body is my body? I can do whatever I want to do with my life. This and this and this and this. Right? This is what is glamorized by the world. Society says do what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, with whoever and whatever you want to do it with. But now my question is this. If that's the case, why are people still depressed and full of anxiety and still unhappy and still miserable? If they're able, and it's your body, do what you want to do with it. It's your life. Do what you want to do. But yet and still, they have yet to find happiness. Just a question. Society says do these things, but no one speaks of the negativities that come. No one speaks about when you out here doing your thing, whatever, whoever, and whatever you want to do it with. Yo, you now are going to the doctor asking them for medicine, talking about these symptoms you having, and now you got something that you can't even cure. But they say your body is your body. They say your body is your body, do whatever you want to do, but now you are in a situation where you got 10 kids with 5 baby mamas. But your body is your body, and you can do whatever you want to do. Now, you're in a situation where you have kids and you're not married, or you don't even know who your baby daddy is. Maury and Jerry Springer. Ricky Lake. Y'all remember Ricky Lake? Oh, man. Who else? Montel Williams. Okay? All the good talk shows. Okay? Prime television. All right. Dr. Phil now. You know, we got all these folks now talking about the topics. You know, it's my body. I can do what I want to do, but you don't even know who your baby daddy is. No one wants to talk about that kind of stuff. No one wants to talk about the fact that you have all these mental issues because you're so stressed out because all the things you've done and because you're in these toxic relationships. People, okay, one example, right? Sex before marriage. God says don't do it. But yet it's still, your body is your body. Do what you want to do. You know that there is science. This is science because we love science. We love science and we love Bible. Let's put it together. Okay? Let's put it together. There is a hormone that happens that is released when you do what you do, when you do what you do. Okay, get the point. I'm not going to say certain things on YouTube. Okay, we're going to keep it PG. PG. I don't know the age these days, but whatever. All right. So you out here doing what you do. And then when you hit a certain point while doing that, this hormone comes out and it's called oxytocin. This hormone is also called the love hormone. Oh, no. It's called the love hormone. This love hormone actually creates trust between you and that person who got you to that point. It's also creating a love bond between you two. So now when you see this person ain't worth it, I am still miserable in this relationship, I need to get out. It's hard to get out that relationship because you have created this relationship, this trust from those hormones, and it's hard to get out the relationship. When people be joking, they be serious. And even in these songs we listen to, they be like, well, you should have never did it as good as you did it. They're not lying. They are not lying. They're telling the truth. They can't leave this individual because of what happened and how great it was. Why? There is an oxytocin hormone. I'm pretty sure other hormones too that kicks in. And now that is a trust bond and a love bond. And that was not supposed to be for you and this person. That's supposed to be between you and your husband or you and your wife. It sounds like soul ties. Oh, okay. It makes more sense now. The soul ties are real. Science backs it up. God said don't do it. But they don't want to talk about that stuff. No one talks about the difficulty of getting out of a relationship when you already have, or when you're already having sex. What else? No one talks about the mental capacity that takes place, the mental load that takes place when you're having sex out of marriage. No one talks about that kind of stuff because it's not, we only talk about what looks good, but none of the things behind the scenes. No one talks about the depression that you're going through. No one talks about the anxiety that you're going through. No one talks about the lack of confidence you have, especially when you have created this love bond with this person and that person is not who you deem them to be. That really hurts. Men and women. What I've noticed for the men, y'all can come and beat me up if y'all want to. Let me know if I'm wrong. For the men, y'all act like it doesn't bother y'all. Like, oh, it wasn't no big deal. I can turn it on, turn it off. That's not true. I've met men where they couldn't turn it off. Y'all are hurt just as much as women are. When y'all have sex with a woman and things don't work out. It takes y'all longer to recognize that you're hurt. About time you really process what happened, the woman has already moved on. I've definitely noticed that one. Y'all can beat me up if you want to, but I've noticed that one. But now, okay, so now let's think about this. Having sex before marriage is just one example of these relationships and toxic relationships and whatever. But it is a sin, right? Now, what is sin? What is sin? Sin, people look at sin like, oh, sin is just disobeying God. No. Sin is God gave a command because it's going against what he created you for. God created sex. He did. So if he created it, that means it must have been a good thing. But he created it to be done in a certain way. I'm only using sex because that's like a big one in relationships, and there's other things too. But this is a big one, big topic. But when it comes to sin, when God created you, for one, God knows how you are supposed to function. He created you to function in a certain way. So if you go against what you were created to do, you're only bringing harm to yourself. That's like taking my MacBook and put it underwater. The MacBook was not designed to work underwater. So what is it going to do? Crash. It's going to break. It may work a little bit, but it's going to have a lot of issues, okay? Same thing with us. When we do things outside of what God's telling us to do, we may still function a little bit, but it won't be healthy. We're gonna be hurt. We're gonna be in pain. We're gonna be thinking that we're broken. We're gonna be thinking like our mental capacity, our mental health is going down. Our emotions are going down. Everything is going down. Our physical body is going to get sick. You know that your emotions, I did both hands, your emotions and your body goes hand in hand. Give you an example. You're sad. What happens? You cry. You're angry. What happens? Your temperature increases. You get stressed out. What happens? Stress sweat is the worst. Stress sweat is horrible. That is funky. There has been multiple times I've had to do a presentation in the Navy. I had to do a presentation in front of all these people, and I'm nervous. And boy, stress sweat came. That is some funky sweat. Anyways. All right, you sweat. Your hands get sweaty when you're nervous. What else? When you worry for a long period of time, when you're holding on to stuff, it creates ulcers in people's stomachs. So your emotions and your mental capacity, I keep saying capacity, your mental health is linked to your body. So everyone's out here saying, my body is my body. I can do whatever I want to do. That is true. That is very true. But the question now turns into, is it healthy? No one wants to talk about that kind of stuff. So sin is not to just tell you to do things because I'm just telling you to do things. Sin is saying you're going against the way I created you to function. And when you do that, you're causing harm to yourself. Now imagine if you were a parent, or maybe you are a parent, and you told your son or your daughter, don't touch the stove, it's hot. And they did it anyways. Your child is crying for you. You are mad. You're pissed off at this little kid. Why? Because you're mad that they are hurt. You're not mad because of what they did. You're mad because they're hurt. And you're like, I told you, don't touch the stove. And now you are burnt. Dang, that goes very well with this topic. Okay, God is telling you, don't sleep with that person because you're not married. And 2, he's not even worth it. You know, I ain't gonna even lie to myself like that. All my relationships, I heard he is not your husband. Nope. Like, I knew this relationship wasn't gonna work. I knew it. And still, I went along with the relationship. And each time, I got burnt. That's not like that. Not like that. I didn't get burnt like that. I got burnt in a sense. Woo! I got hurt, disappointed, brokenhearted. Breakups are hard. And now I'm sitting here like, and then in these times I'm like, what happened? Like, why did it not work out? And God is like, I told you that it wasn't going to work out. You didn't have me in that thing at all. There was no guidance. I wasn't even invited. You're going against what I created you to do. You're going against what I want for you, and now you're upset because it didn't work out. I told you that it wasn't going to work out. But why was I doing all that? My identity. Let me tell you some things that I kept attracting. So I was attracting men who were brokenhearted, men who had daddy issues, men who had no sense of self, men who needed me to prove to them how worthy and handsome they were. Men, I'm attracting these men, and I'm creating these trauma bonds because now I have these issues, they have these issues, and now we can connect, and now we can relate on these bad things. But the crazy part of it, of all this, I was never broken. I was never alone. I was never unlovable. I was never unworthy. They were my identity because it's what I believed about myself. But God, this is why I'm so glad I went down the road of who I am. Like, who am I? And the more I kept learning about who I am, if God created you, does God create anything that's broken? If God is your creator, which he is, does God create anything that is halfway done? Anything? God did not create you to be ashamed. That's actual verse. That is Genesis Genesis 2:25. He did not create you to be ashamed. God created you in his likeness, in his image, which means he did not create you broken. He did not create you unworthy. He did not create you to think these things. He created you perfect. Perfect. You are perfect in his sight. So, what is causing you to believe that you're less than? For me, the things that I grew up seeing. For me, the people that I hung out with. For me, it was society. What was being pushed out and on TV, in the music we listened to, what was popular. You know, the way people dress, like the things people said, all of that contributed to my identity. And it all contributed to my identity because I wasn't seeking God. Now, the question could be, why are you not seeking God? Well, for me and my story, it's because as a kid growing up, my story, yours can be different. My story is, I had a lot of questions that were never answered. I call it the buffing. You know when you click on something on the computer and it just continues to do this little swirl, like it's still buffing. It's still buffing. It's still buffing, right? I feel like when I ask questions a lot of times as a kid, and I was that kid. I was very intrigued about certain things, especially the Bible. I was. So I would go and read some things and I'd come and ask a question and I'd be like, hey, okay, I'm going to go back and read it and come back with some more questions. And I did. But when I asked questions, I got the buffing. A lot of things never landed. I was so confused about a lot of stuff, right? And so now, in my confusion, I leave the house. I'm in the military. There's nothing that's really holding me to God. Because how I see it, people really don't know what they're talking about. Because when I ask a question, my questions are never getting answered. That's just a part of my story. Okay? So it's my household, it's the perceptions that I had as a little kid, it's friends that I'm around, it's society. A lot of things made up my identity. It was also the gratitude I got when I was with these guys. Not the gratitude. It was the satisfaction I got when I was with these guys. Because even though the relationships were toxic, which they were, I learned, or I noticed, when I go back and think about it, I noticed that I found comfort in the unhappiness. Some patterns I noticed in these relationships. Like I said, I was on both ends of the spectrum, right? So in the spectrum where I was in a toxic relationship where it was just not good for my mental, for my spirit, for my physical, or nothing. I was with a guy like off and on for 5 years, 5.5 years. And it was this is just a pattern for like multiple men, right? I just know from one of those guys, I was in a relationship with him for like 5.5 years, off and on, off and on. And the crazy part of it is I realized that he was not in a relationship with me. I was in a relationship with him. But yet and still, I didn't let it go. I noticed that we argued, multiple guys, we argued when he was lying. He's lying about things. I know he's lying about things, but my confidence in things I thought about myself was so low that I still stayed, even though I know he's lying. I'm arguing with him, and I know he cheated on me, and I'm still with him. And the reason why I'm laughing is like, think of, if I went to somebody with these complaints, they'd be like, girl, leave him. Leave him. I'm thinking to myself, if someone came to me with these complaints, what would my advice be to them? Leave. But because I am my list, right? The list I gave earlier, I don't leave. And also because I still don't leave because those hormones are powerful. All right? They're powerful. So now what else is going on in these relationships? I noticed a pattern with the guys that I was dating. Someone made a comment like, I've always felt like a failure. That is a red flag. That person has not healed on some things. Now, if he's always felt like a failure, like that was like his slogan. I've always felt like a failure. I've always felt like a failure. Because now, every time he made a mistake, he threw that up in my face. Now, he could be completely right. But now imagine how that was affecting our relationship. So every time he made a mistake, every time he was wrong, I always feel like I'm a failure. So does that mean that you can't be wrong? That I'm supposed to feel sympathy for you? Now I'm sitting here trying to be like, it's okay. Listen, you're not a failure. What else? Some other things that used to be said in these relationships. Don't worry about me. Just worry about yourself. Okay. What else did I notice in these relationships? I noticed that I thought I can change them. I remember I literally asked a guy. I said, hey, do you love yourself? And he said no. If that wasn't the biggest red flag, banner, helicopter siren, helicopter lights, alarms, warning. That was my telltale sign to get out. Because if a person doesn't love themselves, how in the world are they going to love you? But I stayed. Why? Because Bree did not love Bree. The reason why I stayed in these relationships at the end of the day is because Bree did not love Bree. Bree did not know who Bree was. Bree thought that she was all these things, that she was broken, that she had all these daddy issues, that no man would love her because her dad left. Bree thought that she had to be, I didn't talk about that part. the strong and independent part. I'm gonna come back to that. But Bree thought that she couldn't be alone, that she had this void in her heart that needs to be filled, and the way to fill it was men. Bree thought that that God wasn't enough, because who knows God, right? Who really knows? Because I can never get any answers to my questions, right? Bree had all these ideas that she's not beautiful, that she's not worthy, that she's not important. But when she's with these guys, she is. Now, I'm definitely out of order on my notes, but I'm gonna bring it up because I told y'all I did both ends of the spectrum. You remember that song, Beyonce, If I Were a Boy? I definitely lived that out. Okay. I was like, you know what? They ain't about nothing. They ain't gonna be honest. They out here playing these games. I might as well do the same thing. I think Ciara had a song too. What was Ciara's song? Beyonce had the If I Were a Boy. Ciara had the Sometimes I want to get Like a Boy. Yeah, she had that song, Like a Boy. I had to go back and sing the chorus. I think, yeah. Like a Boy. All right. Both of these songs, these women are talking about, you know what, men do us so dirty. This is how it would be if I was them and I treated them the same way. Well, here's Brianna's version. So I did that. I remember where I had a date every night of the week. I had a date. It was fun. It was fun for that time period. Every day, every night I had a date. And I remember I would literally toy with these men. There was some, I'd be like, listen, I'm just here to have fun. I don't want nothing. Just have a good time. No big deal, right? No, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not going to have sex with you. Be upfront with you. And that used to... It was like a taunt, and to a lot most. And it was a game for me to just be like, all right, whatever. I'm letting you know now. Whatever, right? We go out to eat. He paid for the first date. I pay for the second date. Or I pay half, or let's go Dutch, whatever. We hanging out multiple days of the week. Like, oh, what day you want? I'm looking at my phone, like, what day you want to go out? Okay, I'm not available, but I'm available on this day. Only reason why I wasn't available the days ahead of that is because I had other dates. Okay? I'm like, no big deal, dude. Somebody want to, like, leave? I'm like, okay, whatever, no big deal. Next. That's who I was. That's what I did. And then it got to the point because my friends told me, the guy you're looking for doesn't even exist. So I'm like, so why even waste my time looking for this dude? I might as well just go out here and have my fun, right? It's my body, do what I want to do. Treating other people badly came back to haunt me. Because this guy actually fell for me. It was bad. I would never do this again. I felt so bad. Not only because of what I was doing to this person, but also because I didn't feel good. After a while, having all these dates did not help. It did not fill the void that was there. It only made me more sad. Because after doing all of that, doing this to this guy, what I knew, I was just toying around with him. I wasn't even serious about him. After all of that said and done, I was still alone. I was still alone. So, I guess my point here is this. through all this stuff, the only reason why I was with these people, the only reason why I allowed these things to happen, the only reason why I allowed these men to cheat on me and I stayed with them, the only reason why I allowed myself to be with someone off and on for 5 years, even though the only reason why he called me was to see if I was still available. He didn't want to be with me. And this happened through multiple guys. The only reason why I tried to change the other person, the only reason why somebody said to me, "What would you do if I hit you?" That was not a fun day. He didn't hit me, but that was not a fun day. The only reason why I allowed these things to happen is because of my identity and what I thought about myself. Some people may say, well, we all have issues, or you say you have daddy issues. Do you still have daddy issues now? No. And I'm going to tell you why. Well, we're not all perfect. You're definitely correct. We're not all perfect. I know I'm not. I just told y'all a lot of stuff about me. I know I'm not perfect. But this is the difference now in my identity compared to then. Now, I went on a journey to learn who I was. I stopped asking the question of who am I, and I went to the questions, who does God say that I am? Who does God say I am? When I start getting those answers, everything shifted. Everything shifted. Like I said earlier, God did not create people to be ashamed. He did not create you with shame. He created you in his image and his likeness. If he loved you so much to do that, why do you think he wants? How should I ask this question? I had to see that I am worthy as a person because God literally gave me his DNA. I've said this on multiple episodes, but I keep repeating it because it's true. I keep repeating it because I noticed that I am the apple of God's eye. I am so precious to him that he left the 99 to still come get me. When I was going through all this nonsense, most people will say, well, when you sin, God separates himself from you. Well, apparently he didn't, because I'm still here. And I'm very active at church, and I'm very active with people, and I'm very active in my small groups, and I know who I am now. Because during all of that loneliness and hurt and so forth and so on, God was still there. So God literally left the 99 to come get me. I know that I am now loved and I am worthy because he said I'm adopted. I am a child of God. I am his friend. I got my I am statements right here, right? He says that I am redeemed, I am forgiven, I am saved, I am justified, I am sanctified, I am a new creation, I am a king's kid. Okay, even in the mindset that I was broken and I had these issues and I didn't know myself and I wasn't worthy and I wasn't lovable, that stuff wasn't even true. It was just my beliefs of what I thought about myself, because God never said those things about me. So it was an idea that I created about myself, but it wasn't reality. And when my mind shifted that that's not who I am, now I can say that I don't attract those men anymore. No man has come to me with those attributes, because now my identity is it was worth once it was down, it was to the floor, okay, down low. And now that I know who I am in God, my identity is high. And now those men who have a low identity, they're not coming to me no more. They're not even looking my way. Not one person has come to me out the way talking these yin yang, and no, it's not happening. It hasn't happened. Okay? The guys now that are coming to me they're actually on my level. We not gonna work out because I've now see no reason for us to be playing this game when we see that we're too different, or we're not compatible, or we just don't align in beliefs, right? No need to do this. And now, guess what? It's easy for me to let it go. It still hurts sometimes. It still hurts. Like, dang, I thought he was the one. Or, dang, he's really cute. I was hoping this is going to work out. It still hurts when I have to be like, okay, we ain't going to work out. But it's a lot easier now because I now know what I'm worth. I now know what I want. I now know that I deserve those things, and I don't have to belittle myself to just get anything. So now when people say that your singleness is a gift, oh, I believe it. Okay. Oh, I believe it. I was talking to this dude, and he was playing these games, and I saw myself starting to go back into the games to allow him to continue to do this. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute. I don't deserve that. And I'm like, you know what? I would rather be single than deal with that. Girl. Let me tell you. Bro, I was like, Ray, are you growing up? Is this maturity? Yes, it is. Oh, I feel so much better being single and not have to deal with the nonsense. I'm just saying. And on top of that, right, I have a list. I don't want to get to my list too soon, but I do have a list of what I want in a husband. I do. There's another thing too. I ain't looking for no boyfriend, okay? My identity has shifted to the point where I want a husband, a man of God. I'm going to get to my list, but I do want to touch on this right here. The toxic relationships that I found myself in was all about identity. Satan, we think that Satan is doing a lot of things to us and he's throwing a lot of weapons at us and so forth and so on. But what I believe is all Satan really got to do is mess with your identity. If Satan makes you believe certain lies about you, all he got to do is throw his hands up and be like, all right, I will allow her to destroy herself now. Brianna thinks that she's unlovable. I can just sit back and let her destroy herself. Brianna believes that she's broken. So now because she believes that, all her actions, her decisions, her language, her friendships, everything is going to be revolved around her being broken. I can just sit back and allow her to destroy herself. But not only will she destroy herself, she's going to destroy everyone she comes around. Anyone who gets close enough to her, she's going to destroy them. But not only that, when Bree gets linked up with somebody, they get married, they got trauma bonds, right? She's going to link with someone who's on the same level as her. I'm going to put them together. Y'all come on. Y'all come together. You don't have a good identity. Brianna doesn't have a good identity. Both y'all think all these negative things about yourselves. You are the perfect match. So now you get together, you have kids. You teach your kids all these negative things that you believe about yourself. And now I have the kids. Satan doesn't just want you, he wants you and your kids, and their kids, and their kids, and their kids, and their kids. Think about your family now, right? Do you see a consistency in the family? Mental illness, sickness, disease, lack of identity, singleness, like single parents, like all throughout the generations. That's not a coincidence. That means Satan got somebody way back in the day, and that seed is going through the generations. But it doesn't even have to be that way. Satan got the whole family. Yo, if you don't see it, that's a generational curse. For generations, your family has been doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's not a coincidence. Now that you know how to identify it, you can now break it. And now, because you broke it, with the help of God, of course, because you broke it, you are now creating a new seed for your family. Hallelujah. And your kids ain't got to go through that. Your kids, their kids, everybody around you does not have to continue the generational curse. You can break it. All right. The identity thing is something that Satan used in the Bible. Go back to Genesis. Right here. Genesis 3:5. Okay, when he tempted Eve, one thing you'll notice is that he was telling her. Let me read the verse. Let me read the verse. It says, "For God knows that in the day that you eat of the tree, then your eyes will be opened, and you will be as God, knowing good and evil." So one, he's showing her that God is hiding something from her. This is what I got. Let me know if you agree in the comments. Two, he is telling her that she's not like God. You're not like God. If you eat this fruit, you will be like God. But God just told them earlier that in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, he said, "Let us make men in our image and likeness." So Eve was like God. He made her in his image and likeness. So now Satan is coming along and saying, you're not really. He's hiding things from you. And if you eat it, you'll be like him. Because you're not really like him now. This is the same technique the Satan used on Christ in Matthew chapter 4, verse 1 through 11. The same exact thing. So this is the story where Jesus he just got baptized. A few verses before. So Matthew chapter 3, verse 17, he was just baptized, and the heavens open, and God Almighty is like, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." All right, that's my God voice. Cool. Now Jesus go into the wilderness. Now this man hasn't eaten for 40 days and 40 nights. Lord, okay, fasting like a storm. Okay, now Satan comes along in his weakest point, and now he's like, if you be the Son of God, if you be the Son of God, if you are the Son of God, then do these things. If you're the Son of God. You're attacking his identity. You're trying to make him think, or am I really the child of God? But God just said in a few verses before, "This is my Son." And now Satan's like, are you though? Are you really the Son of God? If you are, do these things and let's see if you really are. Okay? That's the same technique that Satan uses on us. Brady, are you redeemed? is God really going to be there for you? Look at all this bad stuff happening to you. Is this really where you want to be? Do you really think he gonna come and help you out with this? Do you really think you're forgiven? Because if you was forgiven, would you be going through the trials and tribulations and all this kind of stuff? Does he really love you? Are you really worth this love? I don't know. I mean, your dad loved. If he loved, then why would any man want to be with you? Your mama worked real hard. That means you need to work real hard too. You need to prove yourself. Identity. These little voices you hear. Identity. He's attacking the identity. Okay. I think I made my point. But I do want to share with y'all my list. Okay. I want to share with you guys my list of where I'm at now. I don't think I had a list growing up. I didn't have a list in my 20s. I did not. Let me just show y'all. I'm gonna read some things out to y'all. And this list has been vetted. It has been vetted by another brother in God. Okay, one of my godly brothers. And my sister was like, this list is too long. I got like 40 something things. I have 41 things on this list. And she was like, that list is too long, girl. I was like, okay then, let your husband read it and let's see what he said. Okay. He said it was a good list. All right. So on this list, I'm not gonna say all of them. I'm gonna just call out most of them. So 1, he has the godly spirit of a husband. He wants to be a husband. I need someone who wants to be a husband. There's a lot of men out here who just want to be boyfriends. I ain't got time for that. Okay. That's one thing. I want someone who is happy to see me. I know some marriages where they don't like each other. I'm like, how y'all together and y'all don't like each other? Now, there'll be some times where I have examples of unhealthy marriages that I don't want, and I have examples of healthy marriages. And I talk to both, okay? And some marriages, they just don't like each other. Like, they don't even want to be with each other. I'm like, then why y'all still married? I don't know. But anyways, my husband will be happy to see me. My husband will definitely respect me. He will honor my interests. He will recognize my intelligence. He will recognize my weaknesses and my strengths. He will keep me safe. The safety part is not always about physical protection. This is about my mental, my spiritual, my feelings. Can you keep me safe in those? Can I feel safe with you in those? That's what I mean about that. I'm praying for someone who worships openly. I don't want nobody who's a secret Christian. We ain't gonna work out. Someone who wants to be a leader. Someone who seeks positivity. Someone who teaches me things, new things. Someone who speaks life into me and into our relationship. Someone who loves himself. Remember, earlier I said I asked most of those guys, do you love yourself? And they said no. Never again. I want a husband who actually loves himself. I want a husband who has a forgiving heart. A husband who is tender. A husband who is firm. Like, I can't run over you. That ain't gonna work either. Okay? Tender but firm. I want a husband who spends time with God. I want a husband who understands submission. Submission is not just for the woman. Submission in a marriage is also for the husband. It's for the man as well, who understands that. I want a man. What's one more? I want a man who wants children. That's a big one. But I want a man who wants to be a father. These are a few things. Okay. I want a man who recognizes his feelings. Oh, gosh. I want a man who has the identity as a son of God. That's a big one. Out of everything else, he has to have the identity that he is a son of God. That's my new list. That's not everything, but that's my new list. And because I have planted my identity in God, and because I am learning more about myself, I am now mimicking these qualities. The list I gave y'all earlier, I mimicked, and that's what I attracted. This is my new list of who I am, and now who I will be attracting. Hope this makes sense. So, that's the episode today. I learned so much. I hope you guys got a lot out of this episode. And with no further ado, you guys have a good rest of your day. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments in the comment section. Text me. A lot of y'all know me personally, so text me, call me, talk to me in person. I would love to have a discussion with you guys about this. And yeah, go back, re-listen. What came up for you? Go back, talk to God about that, and just increase your identity in Him. And that way, you don't have to continue to deal with these things. So, y'all have a good day. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.